the total picture is available to us more than it is to anyone in a private organization that just has like a yacht club. They have a local interest. We have an interest in the river from the mouth to the source.
We thought we could offer a good service, and it's been a lot of fun for all of us. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun.
We soup out there in the water.
Oh, we had a train accident.
Oh yeah, train accident across the river.
Where I don't know how many cars went in the river.
Yeah, about 10, I guess.
10, and that was a little excitement.
Hello, I'm Brian Madden. Welcome aboard. Today we're going to be out on the Hudson with the Rondout Belle. We're going to meet some people having a lot of fun on an afternoon off from work. We're going to be talking with Warren McKeon, a former DEC official, and how his group keeps an eye on the Hudson River and what they're doing about it. And we're going to go to the Pirate Canoe Club. You'll meet some interesting people there just off Poughkeepsie. So stay with us and we'll be right back. Warren McKeon is retired, sort of. He's a former Department of Environmental Conservation official who resigned in 1975 over a dispute with then-Commissioner Ogden Reed. But McKeon is a busy man. As head of the Hudson River Environmental Society, he stays very active. We spoke one recent afternoon in Kingston outside the Hudson River Maritime Center.
The Hudson River Environmental Society is an organization that had its genesis in the Hudson River Valley Commission. Back in 1966 was the first time we put on one of our public seminars. We didn't put it on as the society. It was put on by the commission, and it was interested scientists and people who were administrators of programs on the river, people from the colleges and universities and so on. We had around 150 people at this first meeting. Then in 1969 they had the second symposium, and in 1970 the society was incorporated. We're probably one of the oldest continuing organizations on the river that's involved with science and the biology of the river.
And what do you do exactly?
I'm the executive director.
I mean, what is the group?
Oh, the group itself is a nonprofit educational organization. In other words, we concentrate on having meetings that have public interest and have some kind of an issue where we present both sides of the issue so that people who are involved with making the decisions have some logical reasoning for making the decisions that they make, and they have scientific data and information to call on.
So you're kind of down the middle of the river, so to speak.
That's correct.
As to an issue that one group might have against another.
We don't take, we're a non-advocatory group.
You don't take a bank.
We don't take a bank.
Aside, okay. Give us an example of what you've been doing as far as one group against another, that kind of thing.
Well, when the coal terminal issue was really heated around here, we had a symposium on the coal in the Hudson, which we held at Ulster Community College. And we called in the experts from both sides. We got the data that was available, and it was presented in a public forum. We didn't draw conclusions, but we did provide information for people who had to draw conclusions.
Now, this is where, up in Columbia County?
No, this is right here in Ulster County.
In Ulster County?
Yeah, at the Ulster Community College.
Well, I mean, where the coal is going to.
Oh, well, they subsequently gave up on the project here in Kingston and moved up to, up the river to, let's see.
Is that Cementon?
No, around Cementon, but past Cementon. And at that point, they decided that they would go ahead. They got all the necessary permits, but then they were sued, and it's still in limbo as to whether or not they're going to be able to open their coal terminal up in that part of the river.
A lot of people are much more concerned with the river these days than they were, say, 20, 25 years ago.
We're well aware of that.
What do you think has brought that on?
Well, the river is a natural resource that's been untapped in terms of recreational uses, and it's been abused by a lot of organizations, industries that don't see beyond their nose, so to speak. And I think the educational process is beginning to take hold now, and people are beginning to appreciate what they have. I don't think it was appreciated as a river until some of these people that really got involved made it a public relations kind of a project. And now we have all kinds of organizations on the river. I think there are close to 60 or 70 organizations on the river. We're the only one that I know of that is a non-advocatory group. The rest of them have a special interest of one kind or another, either to oppose a power plant or to oppose a construction of some kind of a facility or building. And that's fine. We just want them to have both sides of any given picture.
Had it been around at the time, McKeon's group might have been able to preserve what many conservationists and landmark preservationists consider a major sin committed by the Army Corps of Engineers 32 years ago on the Hudson. We were talking to some of the people here at the lighthouse, and they told us that in 1954, the government just blew up the old lighthouse, just got rid of it with dynamite, and because there was another one already in place. Could something like that happen today?
I doubt it. The reason I say that is that before they could go through a process like that, there's a procedure called the secret law, which has to be followed through, which would involve public hearing, possibly involve public hearings, and I think if something like that came to the attention, there are many groups that are trying to preserve the lighthouses along the river. And I think this group right here, the Maritime Center, is one of those groups that's in the forefront on this kind of an issue. So I don't think it could happen at this point in time.
Would your group be involved in something like that?
We certainly would. We wouldn't be involved to the point where we would say, don't do this or don't do that, but we would provide them with facts and information that would justify anybody taking an opposition kind of stand. It's, we have donated most of the archives of our organization, because we didn't have any place to store them, to the Franklin D. Roosevelt Memorial Library. So we have a lot of material over there, and a great many of the photographs and so on that we have of old-time lighthouses and old-time relics along the river are over there at the FDR Library. And also we have, as I may have mentioned, we have our own library at the Norrie Point Environmental Center over in Dutchess County.
How much time does a person like yourself spend on the river as far as keeping an eye on it?
Well, we don't look at ourselves as we're kind of a watchdog in a way, but we rely mostly on our membership. We have 200 members, some of whom are on the river virtually all the time. And we receive information from time to time about things that are going on that the general public just isn't aware of, and we try to bring that to the attention of the proper authorities.
What would be an example?
Well, if there's an oil spill, for example, that some one of our members sees, then we report it to the Coast Guard or the DEC. Or if there's a chemical leak or a chemical disturbance in the river, we try to find out, if we can, what's going on. We don't have any enforcement authority of any kind, so all we do is provide information and try and encourage the people who are doing the enforcement work to do what is naturally their job.
How has it been working for you? Have you been successful, do you think, with your group?
It's been a kind of a hectic sort of an existence. To begin with, we started, as I earlier indicated, in 1970, and for a while there was great interest because that was in the heyday of the environmental movement. The Earth Days and that sort of thing were ongoing. And then around I'd say 75, 76, 77, I sensed personally a kind of a dying of the interest in the environment for a while. It sort of slowed down. It didn't completely die out or anything, but people thought, well, the job has been done and we can relax. And then it was reincarnated in the early 80s, and the society, which had kind of died down along with the interest, we were down to about 40 members at one time, and now we're close to 200, so that just gives you an indication that the interest is building. Our group consists of mainly scientists to a large extent, but we also have a high percentage of just plain people who are interested in the river, people who are administrators, people who work on the river for a living, and the total picture is available to us more than it is to anyone in a private organization that just has like a yacht club. They have a local interest. We have an interest in the river from the mouth to the source.
The Hudson River Environmental Society's Warren McKeon, looking out for what's best for, with, of, and on the river. It's a cool day as summer nears an end, but that's little to distract from the voyage at hand. These women have been given the day off by their company, and they've been given a trip aboard the Rondout Belle. It leaves from the Maritime Center in Kingston every day up to the end of October. Scott Miller, the boat's co-owner, pushes off, and Captain Steve Schwartz sounds the whistle. There are other boats that charter out to the public and even to private occasions, such as bachelor parties and today's office outing. It's a regular business that includes, for afternoon cruises, a full spread of delicatessen fare and a well-equipped bar, with Scott Miller pulling double duty as bartender. The boat leaves the Rondout Creek and heads south towards Norrie Point near Hyde Park. There's plenty of room to take in all the scenery, and as we mentioned, plenty of food to go around, with Judy Schneller handling the chores.
We offer a served buffet, but we do serve full dinners.
And how do people react to your food?
Well, a lot of people come back for seconds.
That's the best test, isn't it?
I think so.
How do you feel about doing something like this on the Hudson River?
Oh, we love the river, love the boat, and it's been very well received from people, so it's been a good venture.
The Rondout Belle is 45 years old. It used to be called the Captain Anderson I, the Seahawk, and the Marion T. Budd. It was a fishing boat originally, and over the years logged a lot of river miles. Scott Miller, a real estate agent, and his partner own it now.
Well, Jerry Henney ran this business as the Marion T. Budd for the last 4 years in Kingston. And he was threatening to sell the boat to another party, which would be taking the boat out of town. So my partner and I, we loved the boat, and we didn't want to see it leave Kingston. So we bought the boat. And we wanted to upgrade the boat. What we did was we've tried to bring the boat back to its natural state. We've taken down most of the paint that's been on the boat down to its natural state. We put a lot of woodwork and a lot of mahogany into the boat, and upgraded the food.
Taking these cruises, are they always the same to you? Is there always a different experience? How does that work?
It's always a different experience, especially with the people on board. Sometimes you get a mellow crowd, and sometimes you really get a partying crowd. It's a lot of fun. Every trip is different.
As we can hear in the background, the ladies seem to be enjoying themselves.
I think so.
Tell us about this group. Who are they? Do you know?
They're from Emery Webb Insurance Agency. They've catered the boat and a day away from the office, and they seem to be having a good time.
How about yourself? This is not your only business.
No, I have a real estate agency here in town, Catskill Mountain Realty. And I have a partner on the boat, Kenny Backoffen, and his wife, and my wife, Sandy. And we're the owners of the boat.
Why?
Why? Well, one of the reasons we didn't want to see the boat leave town. And we thought there was a demand for a dinner boat. And with Schneller's Restaurant, best food around, we thought we could offer a good service. And it's been a lot of fun for all of us. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun.
Relaxing on the Hudson. And how about the people from the insurance agency? They don't seem to have office worries on their minds this time.
How much work gets done when you people are not there?
None.
None at all. I'm sure they're really missing us.
Did you ever know that you could enjoy yourself like this on the Hudson?
I'm learning. It's a beautiful place. I've only been here a short time. We just love it.
Where'd you come from?
Rochester.
Barbara Molansky, you have put this group together. Why here and why on the Hudson?
We thought it would be the perfect choice for today. It's nice and warm, a sunny 95 degrees. No, thanks to our employer, he's put us out for an inside staff day, and our principals of the agency and our producers are manning our offices today.
You hope.
We hope. We don't think there's much work being done, but they're there answering our insurance questions.
Have you made this trip before?
No, I haven't.
What do you think of it?
First, we've had a wonderful time.
The Hudson River is one of the most beautiful areas in the world. I've been around, I've seen the Rhine River and so on, but we live in the midst of all this scenery, and I don't think most of us appreciate where we are.
Have you ever made one of these cruises before?
Not on this particular boat, no. Years ago, I've been in the Hudson River Day Line, and I've been on a couple of cruises out of West Point. They have a ship, too. Well, I guess you call it a ship. It's about this size. But I think it's this is a lovely, lovely area that you can't beat it. And,
Uncle Louie, they're all laughing at you.
oh, they always do. So,
how many of these women have you dated?
I would say all of them. You know, I tried, but nothing happens.
Along the way, Steve Schwartz gives a spiel, telling of the history along the shores. And as we found out later, he has helped make some of the contemporary history on the river regarding big business and the environment.
Yeah, I got my start on the river sailing with Pete Seeger and the sloop Woody Guthrie, and then the Clearwater, and several other environmental movements. One of the movements that I've been a small participant in has been the Hudson River Fishermen's Association, which participated in uncovering Exxon Corporation's illegal polluting and pilfering of the Hudson Valley water. It's kind of a funny story how it got started. Are you familiar with that from previous
I have a background
discussions?
knowledge
Okay.
of it, yes.
Well, one of the ways that whole situation came to be was I was sailing with, I race yachts, high-tech sailboats on the river, and I participate in a lot of yacht club events. I also sail with environmentalists, and I take a lot of ribbing from my yacht club friends. And one day after a yacht race, I was being ribbed and asked jokingly by my racing compatriots, why do us environmentalists spend so much time chasing butterflies and things like that when we could be stopping the Exxon boats, the big tankers, from coming up and dumping their bilges in the water on the way up and taking fresh water out of the valley? Well, just about this time, John Cronin and the Hudson River Fishermen's Association had built and put in the water the River Keeper, and I know John, who used to sail with me aboard the Woody Guthrie, was looking for projects and things with which to interest people about the Hudson Valley, and I thought John would be the perfect person to forward this question to, and although the question was said in jest, I tended it to John Cronin, and John, as you must know, picked up the ball, did a tremendous amount of research. Mm-hmm. It ended up, after about a year's worth of study and such, that the Fishermen's Association and the state took Exxon to court and ceased that whole operation of Exxon dumping New York harbor water out of their ballast tanks and into the fresh water up here, and taking fresh water down to Aruba and selling it at a great profit. It's kind of interesting for me because the outcome of that whole situation was about a $2 million settlement that went over to the Fishermen's Association that created, I think, the Open Space Foundation. And one of the first uses of the money of the Open Space Foundation was a scholarship fund for captain's courses for getting your commercial captain's license on the Hudson River. Since I participated in the initial investigation of the work, I also helped John and the River Keeper collect discharge samples from the boats, and as I worked on the Hudson River at White's Marina during the time that the investigation was going on, I also participated in tracking some of the vessels. I made an application to the Fishermen's Association for the scholarship, and I got the first scholarship. I took the course, the captain's preparation course, and that's how I got my license. which enables me to work here on the Hudson on a commercial capacity.
You're a fully licensed captain?
Yes, I'm a Coast Guard licensed captain. Just about a week ago, due to my service on this vessel, I sat for a new test and upgraded my license based on this experience.
What about this experience on the Rondout Belle? You get to meet all kinds of different people. The weather is certainly always interesting.
Certainly do. Certainly do. The thing that attracts me most about the Hudson River and is I find most attractive about the Hudson Valley. One thing, physically, the river is never the same. There are never two instances that are the same. Currents, wind, weather are always different. That's true when you're sailing or whenever you're boating. The river has tremendous character. And to me, what I find the most exciting part of the whole Hudson Valley experience is the human resource. I think is the greatest resource. And to be out here is to see all the different types of people. We get different groups chartering. I learned a big environmental lesson from Pete Seeger from sailing on the Woody Guthrie, and that was that the best environmental work you could do is just get local people out on the Hudson and see what it has to offer, see how beautiful it is, see how exciting it is. Mm-hmm. And from there, a lot of things happen. People become interested on their own once they realize the value of it, and they take stock and take a stake in it. And so we did that on the Woody Guthrie, and I feel that I'm playing a big part in doing the same thing out here.
We're back to port now. After 3 hours and a few minutes, it's time for a break. And the Belle will be out again in a little while, heading for the other shore to pick up a group for a bachelor party on the river. Pirates in Poughkeepsie? Yes, but don't be alarmed. These rivermen have been here for 79 years. The Pirate Canoe Club, now 200 strong with an 8-year waiting list, is what one member calls a private working man's club. Established in 1907, the exclusive club, now at Long Point, started out at Fox's Point with 75 members. Today, Efron fuel oil tanks sit on that spot. During the Depression in 1931, the Pirate Canoe Club moved to the Mid-Hudson Bridge, building another boathouse for their then 38 canoes.
It was a small club. We were only maybe, well, when I joined, it was only about 100. 85. When I joined. It was
only 50.
And they didn't want to leave there. We fought urban renewal. We fought more money for the place and won, pretty old place, because you just couldn't rebuild for the kind of money, that they gave us. I guess most people got really stuck. And we wanted to stay there. We did fight hard to stay.
And just before they threw us out of there, I think we spent, what, $60,000 fixing the road, the copper water line, the roof.
Yeah, water lines,
the water,
siding outside.
macadam, the parking lot and everything. Yeah. And about a year after, out.
It was nice. You didn't have to worry about the tracks anyway.
Ironically, this private men's club owes its current existence in Poughkeepsie to a woman.
And I told him what she said, that she'd be willing to sell this 3 acres. This used to be Long Point. And they bought it. And at that time, we thought we was going to have to come all the way down the track, put a 1 mile of fence up, because we didn't have she wouldn't sell us. She didn't want us to use her property to get here, And it was 1 mile, wasn't it, Lee? From Spore last year down
yeah, oh, yes, I saw all of that.
We had an industrial engineer design the road and set it all up and went to the railroad and everything.
And then Spore last year, they wouldn't let us come across their property, so that's how Leroy went back again to her the second time. And she agreed. She sold us we told her the spot we were in, and she sold us the other 50 feet.
And as with any good pirate, there are stories to tell.
When I first got in here, they used to have the canoes, We used to put canoes together, like a, you make it like a catamaran, and put the guys in there, one each, and then we used to come down in here. Well, Fritz Myers had a motor. We used to come down here and camp down here on a Sunday, just for the day. The day is nice. And Tom Wazeski, he spent his honeymoon here. And he rode down from Poughkeepsie.
Really? That's before this was
before this was here. He rode down here in the boat.
He camped out.
Well, I don't know who he is, but he's come up on the boat. He always wanted to know what this place was when he got here. Told him it was a club, he says. And he says, I'll give you $500,000 for it. Well, Murphy told him, he says, well, he said, you got to fight 200 guys. He says, what? He said, that's a club. Oh, he said, that's it. He said, these guys never sell. Well, we wouldn't either. I think 1926, that's before the Mid-Hudson Bridge was built. A barge going up the river hit the pier, the railroad bridge, and it sunk right in front of Southwick Docks with a load of grain on there. Remember that? And they had a hell of a time getting that thing out of the water.
How did they get it out?
Well, trains and this and that stuff. Wheat was all over the place. You could have made wheat soup out there in the water.
Oh, we had a train accident.
Oh yeah,
across
train
over
accident
there,
across the river.
Where the I don't know how many cars went in the river.
Yeah, about 10, I guess.
10. And that was a little excitement.
Today, many of the pirates are retired. There's more time to sail and fish and visit other clubs. But what's the best part of being a pirate?
Mainly the camaraderie of other people being around, you know, socializing. I've got a small boat down there. I go out now and then. Like everybody else belongs to boat club, just mainly to be on the river.
Actually, the name of this club is Suspect now.
At first we had, I don't know, 38 canoes. Now we got one. I think Alex got one now. We had 38 when I first started. Now we got one.
So if you want to have crabs for breakfast and sit around remembering the better old days, put your name on the waiting list. But remember, it's for men only, and it's just an 8-year wait. So there you have it for this time aboard. We've proven that you can have your Hudson River crabs and eat them too if you're of the like. And we talked, of course, with the environmentalist, and we went aboard the Rondout Belle with the entrepreneur. Thanks for coming aboard. We'll be back right here next week on the river.